You're listening to Arteetude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
Hi, this is Detlef Schlich, and you listen to Arteetude. Today we dive into the unknown, exciting and creative deep ocean of creative minds together with David Seeger. Hi David.
Hello.
It's really great. I mean, we're still sitting here in the garden and we are lucky because there was a tractor and this tractor is still not there, because if we couldn't sit like this, we had to shout. So we're fine. It's great. We are already in the third part of our audio triptych with David, and I actually invited him as well to speak about a common subject what we both have together, because I'm working on, or I used to work on my short attention span opera, my crossover funk, reggae, dance, punk opera called Tribal Loop, which explored the phenomenon of tribalism and which tells the rise and the fall of a tribe. So, but what keeps us together here today is the loop in general. And if we say loop, we speak about the Mobius Loop. I mean, there are plenty of different loops, and there are quite... there is a great book, I will put it into the description as well, about the history of the loop from a German author. It's unfortunately, I think, just in German. I'm not sure if you get it in English. However, we tried to discover today a little bit the Mobius loop, and David, he is I would say a loop specialist. He can explain us as well something about it. Right, David? Loop on.
Well, the various kind of points of view about this idea. I think Detlef's perspective is one about feedback, so that the idea of the feedback that comes from sending out a message and something comes back, like you take a photograph of a television screen.
I'm a straight
cameras loop at each other, and suddenly something new begins to happen.
Yeah.
It isn't quite the same, because it's transformed through the virtual back to the real, back to the virtual, back to the real, and putting that in a repetitive loop.
Yeah.
You end up not with a repetition that seems endless, but you actually come back different. There used to be an idea that if you went to the moon and went round the back, you'd come back inside out, which is a similar idea. Now, a Mobius Strip is visualized as a cylinder with a twist in it, so that you can take everybody can imagine a cylinder and making a cut in the side of it, and taking the bottom edge. A cylinder has two edges, a top edge and a bottom edge, of taking the bottom edge and joining the top edge.
But we speak about an empty cylinder,
and
actually,
at the same time, you put in the top edge connected to the bottom. So having done that, we have now got a surface. It's not two surfaces.
It is still one surface.
It's
yeah.
only one
Yeah,
surface, whereas the cylinder's got an inside surface and an outside surface. Now, having made that twist in it, we now only have one surface, plus the fact we only have one edge. So it seems incongruous that something in 3 dimensions has only one edge and only one surface, but it's a fact. You can make one yourself and have a try. Now, there are loads of games you can play with that.
Yeah.
But in my world, I make pots. And pots are cylinders, essentially. They have a hole in the top. The bottom is filled in, but essentially it's a cylinder. There's an inside to a pot and an outside to a pot. Now, I started telling lies about pots. And I wrote the word outside on the inside. And I wrote the word inside on the outside. And I also wrote in the bottom, like you look down into a teacup, I wrote top there.
All right.
And then you invert the object
Yes.
and write bottom on which has now become the top.
Which used to be a bottom. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, most of my
Dear
work
listener, do you get it?
is about this morphology of the form of a pot. I've played games with the hole between, and there's a rim between the edge of the inside and the edge of the outside. So we call that a rim.
Yeah.
Now, I've made pictures of rims elsewhere on the pot, so it might have 2 rims. So the idea of making a excuse my cough.
I'm just gonna make a couple of photos in between.
He's
He's
taking
coughing.
a photograph of me with his
All right.
tickling stick.
All right.
No, I've made quite a few inventions, which is taking this Mobius strip and make a teapot out of it, which is it needs to be seen. I can't.
Sure,
really
absolutely. So it's
describe
quite difficult to explain.
And
What?
this is the point again, that we live in the real world. The world of description and stories is not the real world. It's about the real world. The loop is between the illusion of the story that you can construct in your mind when somebody tells you the story. You go to the place the story is about.
Yeah.
It is not the same as having the real object, and the purpose of my work is to make things as real.
I mean,
a video of it isn't the same.
I mean, Hofstadter, Hofstadter's book, I Am a Strange Loop.
Yeah.
He explains it very well, I think. I mean,
I did my best to precede that in a very, very foreshortened form, but there's a whole book about it. Yes,
yeah,
I've read it.
I mean, I put the link and to my description as well of it. Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it.
Me neither.
Because it became repetitive, but that's only
but,
me.
But it is very.
Somebody who's it's new.
I mean,
you need to read it to get it.
Yeah, it is a warning. It is quite deep. It is very deep, and I still couldn't finish it until now because I was distracted with other things. But it is still at my bedside, and not at my bedside, at the side of my bed. But I think I would like to finish it because this repetition, what he's doing, makes it easier for the reader to understand, isn't it? Because it's so.
There is a kind of conflict in it. There is a discomfort in this kind of objects. It doesn't make sense in some senses, and we know the feedback loop that you get with a microphone, where it can hear itself, its own loudspeakers.
Yeah.
And you end up with a scream.
Yeah.
And the loop can easily be as insane as that. That it is to do with civilization, that we adjust things in such a way that we can get the gold out of it without the dross.
I mean, otherwise we would go mad. Did you read the book, the acid zebra test? It's from the author of One Flow Over the
The Cuckoo's
Yeah.
Nest, yes.
Did you read the book?
Which is that?
I'm
I'm sorry, my hearing isn't very good.
It is the author of this book.
Yeah.
He did for 20,000, a lot of money he saved, and he had 5 liters of acid, and they did with 20 artists a tour through America, and they had a bus installation full of microphones and speakers, loudness outside, inside. So it was all about the loop, and they,
Wonderful.
yeah.
No, I haven't heard of
I
that.
mean, so I gonna put the description of the book as well into the
Very
link.
good.
It is amazing. I mean, I think it was in the 60s,
Yeah.
So I mean, 5 liters of acid. I mean, I never ever tried. Did you ever try acid, a drop?
I did not. I'm one of these people who gets very happy without having any stimulation.
Me either. I mean, I really, I'm so natural stoned that if I would take acid, I think I would
Well,
disappear.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Incidentally, something that happened at Leeds College of Art, because of the department at Leeds University, they were exploring lysergic acid. And
So how many floors?
There were plenty of volunteers for their being guinea pigs in their experiment amongst our students, and
I can imagine that. So,
but it was legal.
What? It was legal in the 60s.
Yeah.
All right. Is it still legal? No.
Pardon?
Is it legal now? No.
I don't know anything about
I don't
it.
think so.
I'm not an expert in that territory.
So,
and I don't really.
Did anything special happen?
I have enough complications in this area.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean. So, was there any incident due to the?
Oh, well, we had plenty of incidents, but I'm not going in that direction. We were arrested quite frequently. I could give you a lovely link. To an event that happened as well, but
yeah, I mean, put the link into the description, and dear followers, dear people, dear listeners, you might just look it up, and back to the loop.
Back to the loop. Okay, so well, what have I done? I've made sculptures using a Mobius strip, which and another one is something called the Klein bottle, which is a bottle that has no inside, no outside. It's virtually a thick version. And I actually made a pot that is, well, I actually made an inside-out teapot where the spout brings the outside up through the hole in the top. The spout pokes inside the pot and comes out under the lid. So it's just one of these wonderful, bit like an oxymoron,
Does the audience have a possibility to see your work, your artwork? Do you have it online somehow?
I have a set of photos on Facebook. There's quite a lot there. I also have a presentation on a page on a big creative colony website called Baby Forest.
All right.
And I give you the link. It's babyforest.co /
David has a book called 80s Moving Still, An Alchemy of Clay, Color and the Mind's Eye.
This book's available from Baby Forest for €10.
Okay, so
if you go to my page on Baby Forest and click on David's shop, there's a certain amount of pottery for sale and copies of this book. And this book was produced for a big retrospective show I did for my 80th birthday
in Skibbereen?
In Skibbereen, Ulin Gallery.
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 2.5 years ago.
It was a huge show. I mean, it was really great.
It was the first time I'd put everything together, and it includes all my paintings.
What is about your show in London? Is there any news?
No, I'm not pursuing that, particularly with this COVID business. And
sure. I mean, it does make sense.
I'm really. I've only one pair of hands. I don't have an agent.
No, and it doesn't make sense if nobody can come. You know, I mean, it's the same with my opera. I was supposed to do a crowdfunding, and if nobody, everyone is afraid going into a room with more than 10 people.
Well, it'll change. I mean, we'll end up with other means of doing things, or we do different kind of work. We're much more localized.
Yeah, and I mean, I am happy because due to this incident, so I've created.
I mean, my stuff is available in my house. It's all in the shed.
Yeah.
I'm welcoming visitors one at a time.
Yeah. You hear? So
keep distance.
Okay. So listen. So I
there's
mean,
loads of stuff there. You don't have to buy anything, but it's and I'm still making new work. And that's more important to me than becoming famous.
Yeah, no, sure. But unfortunately, so everything leads somehow together. I mean, you have to find a way to get the audience informed, isn't it? Especially.
Well, art is a conversation. You're
a discourse. Yeah,
something
I agree
out,
absolutely.
asking a question. You know, do you agree? Do you like? Do you respond? Do you want to do some yourself, all these kind of things. But when I make something, I'm actually, I suppose I'm a born teacher. I'm showing somebody something I've found.
Well, that's not boring, that's very
and I'm finding something. I work with ideas that lead me to some kind of, at the moment I've got a puzzle because I'm making there's some paintings in there called Enfolding for Building.
Yeah.
The kind of geometry where you can see 3 or 4 different forms all in the same place. They're superimposed over each other or interlinked.
All right.
Now, I'm making those instead of on a flat canvas. They're just like little drawings or maps.
Nice, yeah.
But I'm now making them in a sheet of clay that folds in 2 places.
Okay.
And it's got 2 sides. So there are 2 of these images, but they bend. So they're not flat. So they actually change as you move your point of view.
All right. So your studio is ready now. So you can work.
I've been working in the studio for a year.
No, I mean since a year now
already. In my new house. Yes,
okay,
I moved a year ago. And
he moved. When did you move? A year ago?
A year last November. My studio was ready to use in last January. I've also found this is another. You see, a friend of mine talked, a man called Michael Schoen, who was my partner in the ceramics department.
Yeah.
We depended on each other. He was the technician, and he's a wonderful, inebriated man who had extraordinary life. He died about 6 years ago, doing something upside down in his big electric kiln.
Oh, God.
But in a sense, he died on the job. You know, he had some sort of aneurysm while he was upside down putting elements in his kiln, in which he made money. He made Victorian jardinières by the 100, which he sold for 300 or 400 quid each.
All right.
It'd take a fortnight making a Volvo full and toured the north of England and came back with £2,000. You know, it was quite a good, it was very clever with Mick.
Yeah.
But when I was working with him, I used to get some little idea and go off and making some sort of odd things that nobody else understood. And he said, "Oh, David's gone off on his loop again." And it's quite true. I do. And I've gone off on the loop at the moment.
Before we finish, I mean, I really, because we already have 20 minutes now, but I would love to hear the story again with the loop on the beach, and after that we close
Well,
the
this
case.
is an interesting little idea.
Yeah.
Yes, well, years ago, this was maybe around 1980. I was on a week's holiday with my two young children. They were about 13 and 15, maybe a bit less, camping way up in the north of Scotland at a place called Arteetude, overlooking the Inner Hebrides, rum and egg out on the horizon with the sun setting something about 11:30 in the evening. It never got dark there, as far north as that. Yeah. My kids were playing with, they met these two German kids, and they were playing football on the beach, doing their thing. And I was kind of standing watching the sunset and noticed this guy next to me who happened to be the father of these German kids.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Hello, how are you? Where are you from?" And I told him. And I said, "What do you do?" No. He said, "What do you do?" That's right. I said, "I'm a potter."
Yeah.
But I don't make ordinary pots. I said, "I've just made a Mobius teapot."
Yeah.
And he said, "I can't believe it." He said, "Do you know what I do? I'm
a bipolar scientist."
What's the word? Molecular biologist.
All right, yeah.
And I've just made a Mobius molecule.
Yeah.
And I was stunned. The two people from the opposite ends of imagination.
Yeah.
The opposite ends of the world. He was from Munich. I was from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
This kind of kid who lived in the farmland. And we had found each other. Where else in the world would the two people who weren't in any way public about what they were doing had both worked on the idea of a Mobius strip, him with a molecule, me with a bloody teapot. The coincidences is mind-blowing, and the fact that we would ever meet is pretty unlikely. Yeah. But we just happened to do it at the moment we were doing it. And I loved that. And cool. I mean, when I got home, he emailed me and said, "I've somewhere in my papers got his theory as to what he produced." The beauty of his end of it was they didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. He discovered it, and it's feasible to have a Mobius circle that has electrons running round and coming back inside out, going round again and coming back to where they came from.
It's mad.
I think it's just the best.
I still try to understand it, guys. David, thank you very much having you here in my garden as a guest. It was
the sun shining.
In the sunshine, and without this bloody tractor, I think he's already putting his gear together, and he will start in a minute. I've heard him already. So did you hear him? No.
I can't hear very well.
He's starting now. Right, guys. Thank you very much, dear listeners, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I mean, if you want to hear more stories of David's time in England and write me a comment, and we still can arrange another talk. I'm quite sure. David, thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye altogether. Bye.
Bye.
This is a listener-supported show. I feel honored if you subscribe this show. You can follow me non-financial with the following click on one of my Instagram accounts, or subscribe the visual version of this podcast on YouTube via the link below. If you like what you hear, be sure to tune in next Wednesday for the next Arteetude talk with a special guest. If you want to leave a donation for a coffee or a bus ticket, just follow the donation link via the Arteetude Podcast account. Eventually, I would like to thank through this medium all my members and listeners of the I Love West Cork Artists Network from all over the world, just to remember myself that without you, this here couldn't and wouldn't happen.
You have listened to Arteetude, West Cork's first art, fashion and design podcast. Arteetude, never so close again. That was too close.